Good morning, everyone. I'm just taking off my watch because I have 30 minutes exactly. Honourable Minister of Information and National Orientation, the Honourable Minister of Works, the Honourable Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, the Honourable Minister of State for Works, my Permanent Secretary, Dr. Mukhtar Yawali Mohammed, the Special Advisor to the President, Mr. Sunday Dare, all other protocols duly observed. It is really with great pleasure that I stand here to present the scorecard of the Federal Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy. I guess the worst thing about presenting your scorecard is actually coming after the Honourable Minister of Works, who has not only shown himself to be one of the most hardest working ministers, but has emerged as a star man of the administration. Thank you for all you do. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the beginning wanted to do something very different. They often say that when you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, you're probably not very sane. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came with a mission and a vision to impart an impact for the young generation, for a future generation and the generation after that. In a way that he can do that, he thought of a diversification approach. And one of the areas he identified to diversify was the area of culture and creative economy. And for the first time in our history, he set a stand-alone ministry that caters to this very, very important industry. And also, in his drive to deliver on the Renewed Hope agenda, amongst so many other things, he wanted to reduce government expenditure and to streamline the activities of government and reposition the system for effective service delivery. By doing that, he merged the Federal Ministry of Tourism with the Ministry of Art, Culture, with the Ministry of Art, Culture and the Creative Economy, in order to really align it. Because when you think of culture and the creative economy, it's really to bring the global community into out of Nigeria, or to export Nigeria to the global community. And for tourism, is really to bring the global community into Nigeria. So these two ministries really work together. The mandate of the ministry is to provide an enabling environment for the exposure of the positive elements of the nation's art, culture, tourism, and to harness the potential of Nigeria's creative economy. Under our ministry, there are 11 agencies: the National Council for Arts and Culture, the National Institute for Cultural Orientation, the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization, the National Film and Video Censors Board, the Nigerian Film Corporation, and the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, the National Gallery of Arts, the National Theatre, the National Troupe of Nigeria, the Nigerian Tourism Development Authority, and the Nigerian Institute for Hospitality and Tourism. So really, what is our strategic importance of our ministry? The priority area of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is to accelerate this diversification of the economy through industrialization, digitization, creative arts, tourism, manufacturing, and innovation. The creative economy in Nigeria has long been a vibrant and resilient sector, one that has never really had the attention of government. So what you find is that Nigerians within the sector have had to really build the sector organically on their own. Now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu comes with this vision and this mandate for us to do a handshake with the industry, to see what they need to allow them to help us as a nation grow the economy, to bring value to them and to bring the value back to the benefit of Nigeria. The ministry, as part of its data initiative, D30, is conducting a mapping that will offer an open source data informed foundation to target setting investment prioritization and program design across Nigeria's creative economy. This is very important because when you don't have data, you have the inability to really assess the industry properly. And with data, you're able to allow investors who want to come into Nigeria to know where they want to really pivot. So this D30 platform that we actually have finished the exercise, and the first week of June, we will be releasing the D30 platform so that Nigerians and the international community can be advised and better informed about how the data relates to the creative industry and to the tourism industry. As an example, in the music sector alone, we have identified 5 segments in the value chain, including production, marketing, and sales. And based on our draft report, we project that we can create over 500,000 new jobs in the sector by 2030, and this is only in the music industry. Our mapping indicates that this sector will continue to thrive through self-employment and micro-enterprise pathways with regional hubs like the FCT in Edo, in Delta, and Plateau, playing key roles alongside Lagos, of course. We are currently going through a validation process, and like I said, but in the early weeks of June, we'll be releasing that. These figures are not just merely statistics, they represent real opportunities for Nigerian youth, for women, and communities all across Nigeria. They demonstrate the manner or the power of transformation that we have in our fingertips. Policy review, formulation, and implementation. One of the first things that we looked at was really the policy. It is important for us to think about how we can set a proper foundation for this economy and for this industry to grow. And in our deep dive, we looked at countries such as South Korea that have been able to grow the industry using to grow their economy and to grow their country, just using the creative economy, the creative industry. So that is what we did. Policy formulation is crucial for the development, growth, and advancement of the 4 sectors under the ministry, and really the 49 subsectors, but we are looking at the top 4 to the top 7 within the sector. Of course, the music, the film, the fashion, the art, the gastronomy. At the inception of this ministry, the policies regulating the sector were not only found to be inadequate, but were outdated and obsolete, and failed to address the developmental changes in the art, culture, tourism, and the creative economy sectors. Consequently, to reposition the sectors and provide an enabling environment for the sectors to thrive and attain its position as a major alternative to income generation for Nigeria. The ministry, in collaboration with the private sector, led by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, is poised to provide a clear policy framework for not only the creative economy, but the arts, culture, and tourism sector in Nigeria. The policies undergoing review presently, formulation and implementation are, number 1, the National Intellectual Policy Strategy. This is really key and foundational for the growth of the industry, and I can announce that we have finished all the network that we need to do for building a national IP policy, a holistic one that will cover the industry across board. And in the next couple of weeks, we, in conjunction with the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, will be presenting that to the Federal Executive Council. And I must say that I give a lot of thanks to the former Minister of Trade and Investment, Honourable Doris, who really helped to pivot this policy forward. And because of the commitment that she put into it, we are able now to deliver to the creators a proper IP policy. And then we have the national policy on incentives for the art, culture, and creative economy. In order for you to grow the creative economy and give the creatives the confidence that government is here to help and government is here to support, you have to provide an incentive policy for them. And this is something that we are really diligently working on. And then we have the review of the 2005 National Tourism Policy for Nigeria, which is also ready for presenting to the Federal Executive Council. And here again, I must give kudos to the former Minister of Tourism, who was the one that really drove this national tourism policy. And because of her effort, I was able to really get a complete policy, and my work has been made easier, and now I can present it, and thank you very much, Honourable Lola Adejon. And then the review of the 1988 National Policy on Culture. 1988, that tells you how obsolete and not up-to-date some of these policies are. And it is important for us, for the cultural industry, to ensure that we have a robust and very intricate national policy on culture. That also is at the finishing stages, and I will say that was my own project, right? And I will be presenting that to the National Executive Council very, very soon. And then we have the policy on monetary and credit solutions for the creative economy, and the development for a new national policy on the creative economy, which has never been done. So we are taking our time to ensure that we come up with a very robust and strong policy for the creative economy. So now the National Film and Video Censors Board Regulation of 2024. We're doing a transition because, again, that is extremely, extremely obsolete, and we're working with Dr. Shuaib, who is really putting a lot of effort to ensure that we give this institution that particular regulation that is up to date. And then the Federal Executive Council approval for the Creative Economy Development Fund. This is one of the things that really makes me excited, because I know the industry is really struggling with the lack of funding to support them. So now the implementation of the IP monetization pilot to provide funding to creators and develop a model for IP asset securitization. And the Federal Executive Council recently approved the Creative Leap Acceleration Program as well. Again, I'm very excited about that for the industry. This is a digital platform to support creative enterprises for funding creative technology and co-working spaces. And it was recently launched, but is presently at the beta stage, and very much will be heard about that in the next coming weeks or months. And then the Comprehensive Film Industry Reform Program, including retooling of government agencies and parastatals, encouraging a functional, self-regulated ecosystem to provide welfare and working conditions, and strengthening intellectual property rights protection. And then the development of the Creative Industry Administrations on Intellectual Property Rights Management 2025 in collaboration with the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, the Abuja office specifically. Cultural diplomacy and soft power. We all know that the real power that we have as a nation globally lies in our arts, in our culture, in our talent, and in our content. That is what the global community is interested in when you talk about Nigeria, and we want to really leverage on that. Nigeria's rise on the Global Soft Power Index from 93rd in 2003 to 79 in 2004 and to 77 in 2005 presently has been achieved through our cultural influence expansion, and brand perception improvement has been attributed to strategic engagement and the soft power initiatives that has been led directly by the ministry through one of our great initiatives, the Destination 2030. The launch of the Destination 2030 Nigeria Everywhere. They do say that 1 out of every 5 African is a Nigerian, 1 out of every 8 black person in the world is of Nigerian descent. And so that gives us a lot of power. And we want to make sure we give those Nigerians that have ancestry, Nigerian or blacks that have Nigerian ancestry, a reason to pivot back into the greatest black nation of the world. So at the World Economic Forum in Davos, creating a unified brand identity that has improved Nigeria's global soft power ranking by 14 points in just 1 year, rising from the 93rd to the 79th. So you can imagine what we can do when we really push the envelope and we really push Nigeria's global soft power initiative. Motherland 2025 initiative is aimed at reconnecting Nigeria in the diaspora with their roots and positioning Nigeria as a global tourism hub during the festive season and beyond. And also, this will give us the ability within this initiative to do citizenship by investment. Because many people that have interest in their roots want to have Nigerian citizenship, and we are coming up with an initiative together. I'm working together with Honourable Abike Dabiri, who is the one that really has the hold on the diaspora, and I want to thank her for that. Then the Nigerian Film Corporation's international engagements at prestigious events, including Screen Nigeria at the 77th Festival de Cannes in France, that is happening now, where a Nigerian movie maker has made the shortlist of Cannes, and I will be traveling there to make sure that we push every single political leeway that we need to ensure that his film makes the shortlist of the Oscars for next year by the grace of the Almighty. Then the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization CBAC expansion of the international cultural diplomacy efforts, including engagement with the Francophone Ambassadors Group for Festac 77. And soon there will be a countdown to be announced for Festac at 50, and we'll be doing that in collaboration with Aisha Augi, who is manning CBAC, and I want to thank her for that. And of course, the National Council for Arts and Culture's Origin platform that is headed by the great Obiasika. And he has developed a wholesale and a holistic vision to really open up the arts and the culture. And it serves as a national repository for Nigeria's living culture and has gained international recognition for the at the United Nations. And soon we'll be putting out a calendar, a yearly calendar, that will be able to tell the global community what we have in Nigeria in terms of festivals. So as great as Dirty December is, we want the global community to come into Nigeria from January all through to December. Securing 3 UNESCO inscriptions for the Shango Festival in Oyo and the Kano Durbar Festival and the Midwifery Knowledge, Skills and Practices at the UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. And we were able to do that last year, and I want to congratulate Nigerians for that. And we have also secured the hosting rights for the 68th meeting of the United Nations Tourism Commission for Africa, CAF. And this will be held in Abuja from the 11th to the 13th of June. And my hope is that it will be a global outing and a successful one for Nigeria. And we are also organizing a cultural event at the United Nations Assembly, UNGA, for 2025. We did one last year, and we hope we can do one this year to push the Destination 2030 brand even further. We're leading a delegation I led a delegation to the G20 meeting for ministers of culture, and we, Nigeria, represented the African Union in Brazil in 2004. Global outreach program with engagements in Europe, Middle East, and Latin America to showcase Nigeria's cultural diplomacy and creative excellence. We are showcasing Nigeria's participation at the prestigious international arts festivals, and we were at Venice Biennale, and I can tell you, Nigeria was nominated as the best pavilion because of our content and our creativity. Economic value. This is very important to Mr. President. He wants us to use this industry to add growth, and we have committed to increasing the GDP by $100 billion by 2030. We have secured presently $200 million commitment from Afrexim Bank to accelerate building of cultural and creative industries. And this will be operationalized on June the 1st. So in the next couple of days, we're looking for creatives to apply, because now we have funding, and this funding is going direct to support the creators. We have a partnership with the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, to monetize tangible and intangible national assets within creative and tourism domains by cataloging, valuing, and securing government assets. And I want to congratulate you by saying this was approved by the Federal Executive Council last week. So we can now bring value and money using our own assets. So we have to be creative in supporting Mr. President and in supporting his vision to create economic growth. We have strategic collaborations with the Federal Inland Revenue Service to enhance the tax compliance and revenue collection while fostering growth of the creative economy. And then we have the launch, like I said, of the CEDF, which is very exciting. And there's a landmark initiative that is meant to catalyze growth, innovation, and sustainable financing for Nigeria's creative and cultural industries through a debt financing window offering affordable loans to viable creative businesses, and an equity window providing investments in promoting creative businesses with high growth potential, and a grant funding window supporting innovative ideas and cultural projects with high impact potential. And the fund will benefit the entire creative economy, the value chain across sectors including film, music, fashion, art, publishing, gaming, cultural heritage, and tourism, and any other person that has a viable business model that can really add to the economy. And then the Renewed Hope Cultural Project, the economic impact, creating opportunity for rural communities to participate in wealth creation. Mr. President wants us to take his vision right down to the grassroots. And the Renewed Hope Cultural Project sees us looking at the unique peculiarities of every single state and doing partnerships and MOUs. We've already signed MOUs with some states, and we want the states to tell us what they want the federal government to come and support in, because working in silos does not give a long-term sustainability. We want a single vision in the vision of Mr. President. We have a collaboration with Big Wing Philanthropy that will create at least 2 million jobs by 2027. Infrastructure. There is a dearth of infrastructure to help the growth of the industry. So we have established the Creative and Tourism Infrastructure Corporation, a special purpose vehicle that was approved by the Federal Executive Council, and with a projected investment of $100 billion and potential to contribute significantly to the creation of over 2 million jobs. How many? 5. Okay, I'll just run through this really quick. You see, we have so many things, but I'll just run through this very quickly. We have a partnership with the Afrexim Bank. We have collaboration with Ministry of MOFI. We have a partnership with the creative parks. This is very important because this is where we want to create the Abuja Creative City right here. We want to make that a one-stop shop that will make Nigeria the culture and creative capital of not only Africa and of the world, and we signed that recently. And we've already started work. And then the impact, the film industry. Okay, so the Nigerian Corporation Advancement of the Audiovisual Co-Production Agreements we have signed with Brazil, with South Africa and France, and we're talking to Morocco, India, Pakistan, Spain, Italy and Namibia. They are all interested in our content and we are ready to work with them as long as it brings value back into Nigeria. I'll just go to the challenges. We'll go to the challenges. Funding constraints. We have had to be very creative in looking at ways that we bring funding because there is no funding to support our ability to really add the infrastructure and some of the policies. So Mr. President, in his vision, has really supported us to go out and be creative, and we have been able to do that by raising at least $300 million for the creative industry. And the global competition. Some of our creative products do not meet high international quality, and I'm working seriously on that. It's not about quantity, I know it's about quality. And then the lack of infrastructure. I will be glad to tell you that we are just about to deliver an arena. As a Nigerian, if you want to watch a concert of Afrobeats soon with a Nigerian, you don't have to travel outside the country to Ghana, to Rwanda. Very soon we will have a global standard arena whereby your greats, your likes of Davidos and the likes of Burna Boys and the likes of Beyonce's and the likes of Coldplay can come to the center of creativity and the center of Afrobeats to play. We will be delivering that arena to you very, very soon. And then the data. Like I said, the data is key. Some of the other projects that we have just recently finalized on is the renovation of the Nigeria House in Brazil, in Bahia, and the Renewed Hope Arts Pavilion, which is a major milestone for a national museum here in Abuja, the greatest black nation of the world that has all the content that everyone is interested in, should not be living without a museum in its capital. So there will be a museum here in Abuja, and that project will be started within the next 3 months. And then the creative hubs. We are going to build creative hubs in all the 6 geopolitical zones. We already have started on working on 3 now, and soon there will be creative hubs. Hopefully, my hope is that it will grow beyond the zones. So in conclusion, in line with the vision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has mandated us to be courageous and interrupt the normal way of doing things, the Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy stands at the forefront of Nigeria's economic diversification strategy, transforming what was once viewed as merely cultural expression into powerful engines of sustainable growth and job creation. In just 18 months, we have secured over $300 million in investment commitments and established innovative funding mechanisms like the Creative Economy Development Fund, and we have created infrastructure that will generate at least 2 million jobs, and we have elevated Nigeria's global cultural standing while all encouraging rural communities, women and youth to participate meaningfully in the creative economy. Our strategic partnerships spanning government agencies, international organizations, and private sector leaders have positioned Nigeria's tourism and creative sectors not just as alternatives to oil dependency, but as a vibrant, inclusive economic pillars capable of addressing our nation's most pressing challenges. Mr. President has asked us to bring economic growth. He has asked us to create jobs. He has asked us to reposition Nigeria. And I can tell you that is exactly what the Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy is doing. I thank you for your attention, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.